This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, Gerald Morris from Two Peas on a Podcast joins us to review Pixar's latest feature, Soul, on Disney+. And we get excited for WandaVision premiering this week and the return of the MCU. Zack Snyders Wonder Woman apparently likes to decapitate people. And should the Oscars be canceled this year?
What?
All that and more in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Thursday, January 7th, 2021.
This is Jason Mewes, and for reasons best left between you and your therapist, you're listening to the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Snooch to the nooch. Check. Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up! We talk it, we nerd it. We funny, disturb it. We talk it, we nerd it. We spoiler alert. Oh yeah!
Oh yeah, what's up, listener? How's it going? Welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast, where we give you comic book and superhero, TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
And he's a nerd.
And he's the Rug Boy. Good earth to your rugs. What's up?
Good earth to you. I'm feeling a little light in the soul today.
Oh, light. I see what you did there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to float downwards.
Well, keep yourself grounded. We need you here at least to record at the podcast. Also joining us, listener, another wonderful pod buddy of mine, another independent podcaster. He is the maker of the show Two Peas on a Podcast. It is Gerald Morris. What's up, Gerald?
Imran, fellas, what's up? How's everybody doing?
Hey!
There's that buttery voice I love so much.
Hey, listen, this is exciting for me because I met Imran like 5 years ago, and I asked him if I could come on the show, and now here I am.
And we finally made it. Look,
Wait, how many times has he been on your show? Let's just get this out there.
Imran, what are we thinking, like 4 or 5, right?
So let me start out by apologizing to Gerald Morris right away. I have been on your wonderful podcast 5 times.
Yes. So what's your excuse, Imran, that you haven't invited him?
I don't know. I was in the shower. I don't know.
Well, let's hear this. Yeah,
he was in the shower. That's the first time he's ever done that.
I was in the shower.
Well, that makes sense then.
It took a while. I'm an asshole. That's all it is. No, I am an asshole, and but I'm glad we can finally get.
All right, how many times has Imran admitted to being an asshole already on the show? 5 years, 6 years I've been doing.
Yeah, like every other episode.
I'm just kidding, though, Imran. But thank you so much for having me, though. This is going to be great, man.
Tell the listeners what your show is about. I love your show.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, you've been on. You're basically my co-host. You've been on so many times. But we just do a fun top 5 show. You know, we do a countdown show, so we talk about movies, music, and TV. Sometimes we venture off into weird pop culture stuff. And I have a guest host on every week, and we just give our top 5 in whatever the category is, and we just have a fun discussion surrounding that topic. We have our Golden Peas movie awards.
Oh, fun.
Which happen every
Trump
year.
Like that?
He loves it. He loves it.
Yeah, it's his favorite thing.
I'm trying to get him to co-host this year. I don't know. He might have some free time.
Yeah, he might be
I
available.
love the Golden Peas.
Golden Pea.
They're tremendous.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that information is coming in the pike. But yeah, man, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, brother.
No, it's a great show, listener, for anyone. If you love pop culture, you love music, you love movies, you love TV, you got a little bit for everything. And my favorite part of your show is you always come away getting turned on to new shit because there's always stuff I haven't heard of, and you get little samples and you sound so. Thank you. Wonderful job.
I like that you use like someone getting interested in something else by some, being influenced maybe. I like that you'd use the word or the term turned on.
Oh, I can turn me on. Why? And, what else do you say?
That just immediately brings up images of something completely different. So
Floppy John.
Floppy John.
Or not something completely different, more sexual than most. And I hate that that's the term you use because there's nothing about you that is sexy.
Turn me on, listener. Turn me on,
dead man.
With things. All right. Well, I'm glad
you. I mean, you're like the type where it would, like my dick would crawl back into my stomach.
My balls was hot.
Again,
Sloppy John.
Well,
then his plan worked because then you'd have a vagina.
yeah,
Right.
you have an innie. You have an innie now, I guess.
You guys could enter into a long-lasting relationship at that point.
Oh,
It'd be
my
great.
You can
God.
finally become one.
We can finally be Jock and Nerd together.
Jock and Nerd.
As one. Look, listener, the other thing you may notice when you went to download this week's episode is there's another big, hopefully glaring change. After almost 6 years of doing the Jock and Nerd podcast, we have a new look.
So that's the reason why he didn't have you on. He wanted to wait until he finished the website.
Gerald, this is the first
have you on.
episode with the new look. Good save, Rugs. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I know I'm going to
Plus,
lean into
you know,
that
you
one.
already do enough for the podcast, so we figured let's put more on your plate. So it took you a little bit of time, but you finally got around to doing this.
I just it was a time enough, and like the thing was getting dated, but I hated doing this, so I'm just going to start out with this.
Stinks. It stinks.
I actually like it.
Nah,
Oh, okay. Get out. Honestly, what did you got? What do you guys think? Listener, you'll see it in your podcast app right now if you look at it. Comments?
I dig it, man. You sent the notes to me yesterday, and I got to see it, and I was like, "This is sweet." And I don't know. Let's go ahead and tell the listeners too, Imran. You did my logo,
Yes,
for my
I
show.
did. I did 2 of yours. You already went through a rebranding. You know what it's like to have to fucking change everything. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, it really is. But you kill it, man. And I thought it was great. I think the color choices are interesting.
Okay, interesting. Good way, bad way.
The blue and gold. I'll see what the other fellas have to say.
Well, you happen to pick
I do like it.
For the Soul review.
Yeah.
It actually looks like because of that movie's colors were also
works.
incorporated blue.
Yes, it works
It looks
with
like
that.
you've integrated that character within our logo
Right.
rather than our logo with the background.
He just happens to have a blue background on this
Right.
thing that I found. So.
It looks next level.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it really looks good.
Look,
No, I mean, we went through a process and we kind of wanted to kind of stick with some of the colors that we used in the past, and we had like all the primary colors in our logo.
Mm-hmm.
So this was you just kind of like, all right, let's just go with let's pick 2.
And shit was getting busy. I just wanted to
Yeah.
like clean everything,
I love it.
simplify it, make it bold. Listener, let us know what you think. And I know nobody goes to the website, but that's also updated to reflect the fucking look. And I know this because I get the analytics. Nobody goes to the fucking website. Do me a favor, go check it out. It's a whole new template, a whole new layout. It's cleaner, it's streamlined. I put a lot of work into it. You fuckers, one person click on it. That's all.
Listener,
I'm
I'll
asking
have you
for.
know that he wanted to originally go with like a teal and black or something like
I'm
that.
not
so.
good with colors, and it was a little soft. So
It was teal and like pastel yellow.
But I was going
Yeah.
for like this retro off-print halftone thing. It wasn't working. We got power colors here.
Yeah, we like it better.
You know, there's a hint of sports in the color scheme, but it's not.
it's got a
So
little varsity in there.
right,
No, it definitely made me think kind of like Michigan Wolverines.
Oh,
kinda
shit.
deal.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's everyone should check this out and give Imran compliments. If you
Maybe send him some gifts in the mail like listeners have done in the past.
Or just tell him how much it sucks.
And we also did this thinking that, hey, you might want to buy some new merch now that we have a new logo. So
That will also be updated. I will get to that. There's a sale coming up. Christian Bale, what do you think of the logo?
Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
Oh, he doesn't like it. Sorry. All right, I'll try harder, Bale. Fuck.
All right, we talked about the logo for a whole 10 minutes.
Let's get to the news.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Look, I'm sorry. We made you wait to get to the content, but this is a momentous occasion.
He did a lot of work.
in the lifespan of the show. So something exciting is happening later this week. The show posts on Friday, January 15th, for the first time in over a year. The fucking MCU returns. Oh shit! Phase 4 actually beginning this week. Spider-Man: Far From Home came out July 2019, and I think that was the last thing that came out. Right? That was it. January 15th, this Friday, the show posts WandaVision will premiere
Oh, shit.
on Disney Plus.
Geek Boner.
They've put out some new trailers, revealing a little bit of a theme song. Elizabeth Olsen went on Jimmy Kimmel to show a clip of the show. Gerald, I just want to start with you. What is your thoughts on Miss Elizabeth Olsen here?
Well, I love her. I love her, buddy.
Oh, like that? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just, as an actress in general, but I love her as Scarlet Witch also. I'm interested in this show, man. I think seeing the trailer, which I, truth be told, just watched for the first time yesterday when you sent me the link. I told you when we discussed it, but I'm just not as intimate with Marvel as you dudes are. Like, I'm a kind of a casual fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do love her character so much, and I feel like she's kind of up there with Captain Marvel for me. Like, those two kind of female characters, I just love them, you know? So I'm excited to see how this series kind of plays out with the 50s and 60s aesthetic, and it looks like there's some 1980s going to be in there.
Every decade, so I'm
excited, man. It looks really cool.
Anthony, to get you more hyped, I know we're already hyped, but do you get a little bit of the theme song and a little bit of like the actual like set with the audience laughter straight up from like the Dick Van Dyke Show? Like, they nailed the look of that.
Yeah, I remember seeing the first trailer, and I was like, this is a little strange, and I didn't really know how to feel about it. But ever since the Investor Day, and then that trailer that came out then, and now this trailer, I've been I'm pumped. Yeah, me too. I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've been like all in, because first off, I thought I was not done with Marvel, but I thought I couldn't get excited again about Endgame after Endgame, right? And then the Spider-Man. But like this trailer, along with some of the others, it seems so different than what we've seen before. It doesn't seem like they're just putting the movie stuff on the small screen. They're actually trying something a little off the wall, you know, going for that 50s, 60s television set, live audience vibe. That. So I'm intrigued that it's different. It's two characters that we really don't have a ton on, and I'm all in. I can't wait to dive back into the MCU after, and I think in a way, the year break.
I think it helps.
Kind of helps.
Yes, to build the anticipation and momentum, and because they were pumping shit out, and we're going to be getting 3, 4, 6 things a year, but the break actually made it seem more special. Ruggs, there's a lot of promos of this fucking show everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there's different little clips. Is it too much? Are you trying to avoid this? That I make you watch this? Did it spoil it for you?
No, I'm fine with it. Like, first of all, I'm excited about this just to watch something new, number one. So I'm like, hey, something new is going to come on. I'm going to get to watch something new. Number two, it's like, this is like a really weird direction for Marvel, and like, I don't really know what to expect.
It's so different and unexpected and risky.
I'm kind of curious to see what they do. I am hoping that they stick it, you know, and they usually have a good record of at least doing something decent. So I don't know. I'm kind of like cautiously optimistic, excited, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
I mean, again, there's still a chance, you know, that the show is not good. I don't think that's going to happen again. But like, I'm trying to walk in with kind of realistic expectations.
Well, I don't know what to expect.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, no,
yeah, so
I'm not sure. I have a couple other interesting details to get excited this week for the show. It will be 9 episodes long, season 1. And apparently they're going to show the first 2 episodes the first week it comes out, from a listing from France. A France streaming service says that it's a 2-part premiere. So we'll get the first 2 episodes the first week and then 8 weeks. So She-Hulk is also 9 episodes. And I feel like the Netflix 13 episode run those shows had was way too long. Mando is 8 to 10 seems to be the sweet spot. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think, Gerald? Did you watch any of the Netflix shows? 13 is way too much.
Just Daredevil is the only one I watched. But yeah, you're right. And to kind of piggyback on what Anthony was saying earlier, too, I mean, he's right, man. And we talked about this. One of the shows you came on my show, Imran, and we discussed our top 5 movies from the MCU like a year ago.
Yep.
And I think I mentioned on that episode, but it's just so much fatigue involved for me. Like, it's just like, because, you know, I grew up in the 80s and definitely into the 90s. And it was like, when you got a superhero movie, it was such an event. And it was like every 2 or 3 years. And you had to like just wait for the sequel.
Yes.
3 years. But now it's like every 2 weeks, there's some kind of like superhero or comic book blockbuster. So I think that, you know, Anthony nailed it. I mean, they had to do something different and new, but with familiar characters that we're used to. And it looks like that this is definitely going to be a different kind of spin on the characters that we already know. And it's going to be really cool, too, because it's going to open up, or you would think it's going to open up.
Oh, it will.
Such possibility for, like, cameos and, like, spinoffs and, like, you know, so I am exactly what you guys said. I did not think I could really be excited about an MCU project just because I was so over it. You know, I was so kind of like, all right, guys, like, we know you make $1 billion every, you know, we get it. Like, you put out a movie every week. But I'm excited for this, man. It's on the small screen. And it's going to be a different aspect, which I'm really looking forward to.
This will open up storytelling possibilities. I really think this is the birth of everything moving forward regarding the multiverse, regarding Wanda and her magic and changing reality. Like, what happens here is going to influence everything that comes afterwards, and the beginning of spinning in and out. You know, she's going to be in Doctor Strange, and then they're all going to be in the Spider-Man movie.
Are you nervous at all about this?
I don't know. It's very ambitious, but it is Kevin Feige, and he's up for the challenge.
I did see there was a video that John Campea put out that I watched a little bit of, and it was the listener or someone that wrote in basically said, you know, with Wonder Woman, there was all this like love, and then Wonder Woman 2 comes out, and everyone's like questioning everything.
Yeah.
So the basic gist is like you're only as good as like your last project, and if let's say this did suck, like what does that say for everyone's confidence in the MCU on Disney Plus moving forward?
Look,
So it's an interesting
real
thought.
quick. For example, let's say this thing is a bomb. Is it a one-off and you move on, or in your mind does it tarnish everything that's come before it? You're like, all right, look, they have yet
think
to
about
make
Game
a bomb.
of Thrones.
Yeah.
The last few episodes has ruined it for everyone.
No, I mean, because in that vein, too, Imran, I mean, did Mandalorian ruin the Star Wars movies?
No, that made it better.
Exactly. So I think you could be on a similar path here. I mean, obviously, Star Wars has a much deeper legacy and many more decades, prior, but from a movie standpoint. But I mean, just generally speaking, I feel like this could just add so much to that universe, because all we were seeing in the theater, and of course I'm simplifying it, but it was just like explosions and buildings being crushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like all these great epic battles in the streets, which was great. I mean, all that shit's great. Don't get me wrong. But how cool is it to have such a new kind of like intimate portrait? And also, I just want to mention real quick before we move past this that, I mean, the actors involved in this are fucking phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Like, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are fucking top tier. I just saw a movie called Uncle Frank on Amazon that Paul Bettany was in.
Okay.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he got nominated for the Academy Award for it. I mean, just tremendous actors that are helming this too, which is going to help, I'm sure.
He played Anne Frank.
He did. It was a weird. It was a weird turn.
It's
Yeah.
a different gender.
What
Look, I'm all for the gender bending turn. Why not?
Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank.
Yeah, Uncle Frank. Oh, okay.
Got it. Speaking of special effects, though, Gerald, it's interesting you mentioned that. Paul Bettany has some bold claims for the show in this article. He says he thinks the show will make everybody look at the MCU in a whole new way. He says Marvel has always taken big swings, but we're really swinging big here. There are more VFX shots in WandaVision than we had in Endgame. That's a big ask, and the director backs this up. He goes, Law and Order, this was not 6 months of shooting people walking down the same hallway. Feige was clear from the beginning that this show would be very different. It would also be as Marvel as anything else they've ever made, including some of the biggest set pieces they've ever done. What the fuck?
Geek boner.
Wow. So they're not holding back on the special effects.
That's a lot of talk right there.
That's a lot. Big claim from them. And also, the show will be rated TV PG, which I guess it's okay. It's not PG-13.
No nipples.
I think that's great. I mean, I have a 7-year-old. I think that's great. I mean, we loved Mandalorian. We watched it every week. He watched this trailer with me yesterday, Imran, when he sent it to me. He's super excited about it, and he knows those characters from some of the Marvel films. I think it's smart on their part to do that.
I love that your 7-year-old is going to get like more into Marvel. Was some of the Mandalorian a little intense for him, though?
Oh man, you're gonna give me a parental trouble here.
Nobody listens to this.
Okay, perfect. No, I mean, it was fine, man. He's fine. He's he's kind of well beyond his years for that kind of stuff.
Sure,
like this past summer he saw Jaws.
Oh fuck, that's a scary movie.
So if that gives you any impression.
So I think, because the Mandalorian, some of them were PG-13 and some were PG, but they rode that line very well. Like it is pretty generally family-friendly entertainment.
I think I said this last week, but I'll bring it up again because we're talking about Soul.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not of I don't I think I always have like I'm like it has to be at least PG-13 like PG. Why would anyone want to watch that? But family content is always like I feel like underrated in terms of just like the appeal, the mass appeal, and how much families like Gerald has are really appreciative of that stuff. So I think that's actually
smart,
important as well.
No, it's smart, especially now, and everybody's at home watching everything together anyways.
That's what I was going to mention too. I wonder how much of a product of this is like, the success of shows like Mandalorian on Disney Plus, but also nobody's going out anywhere. I mean, you're going to get the majority of your entertainment, streaming or on television. So it just seems like a no-brainer because, like I'm a perfect example. Like I can't. It's hard for me to watch something that's not family friendly.
Yeah.
Just because there's kids all over the fucking place here.
You gotta, unless they're sleeping, you can't be sure.
Right.
Somebody gotta see something they're not supposed to see. So we just got The Mandalorian, and it kind of set a pretty high bar for this kind of storytelling on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can match it and exceed it because I feel like it has to be at least as good or better than The Mandalorian. But they're starting to roll stuff out more smart. So once this ends after the 8 weeks, 2 weeks after that, Falcon and Winter Soldier premieres in March. So we're starting to see things get strung together now.
When is She-Hulk? Did you mention that?
She-Hulk is going to be later.
Okay. I'm excited about that one as well.
That was the first wave is still your WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? And then
What If?
Oh yeah, and the What If animated series.
What If? And I think Miss Marvel will be out late.
I think Miss Marvel, She-Hulk,
2021,
Hawkeye. Those are the second wave of these shows that are going to because they're just working on those.
We're going to be inundated
Holy
with Marvel
shit!
stuff.
No, not only that, and if like we talked about Walter Hamada's plan for DC, if they're doing all that shit, there's going to be too much shit everywhere. Listener, let us know how geeked you are for WandaVision. Join our Facebook group. It's called Jock and Nerd Nation. It's exclusive and closed just for our listeners. You can geek it up in there all you want. And I will like every comment regardless. That's an inside joke. Moving on. Gerald, did you see Wonder Woman 1984? I
did, yeah. I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Quick thoughts. What'd you think?
It might be an unpopular opinion, but I dug it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was okay with it. I'm a sucker for 1980s, man. Like anytime a movie is set in the 80s, it like immediately is like off to a great start for me. It wasn't as good as the original. Like, I mean, come on, we all know that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good continuation. The only thing is, it was about 20 to 30 minutes too long.
Yes.
There was a lot of fluff in the middle that just, if it had been 30 minutes shorter, I would have loved it. But as it was, I liked it.
I mean, they had to do the thing where they got to go get the thing, take it to the guy to get the other thing, and then they got to go to the brown guy to find out what the thing actually is. I'm like, what is all this horse shit? I do remember I read your comment on a review that you were just, I liked it. And I was like,
it's okay.
So,
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you can enjoy it and not just, it doesn't make you mad like it does me sometimes when I think about it, even though I enjoy it.
Really? You get mad?
No, I don't know. You should see me. I
don't know if I'd like to see you.
See me when I've run out of weed. That's when I get mad. That's the you don't want to be around. It's like morning coffee. Patty Jenkins, though, recently was on the Mark Maron's podcast, WTF podcast, in December last month. She talked about developing Wonder Woman for 10 years at Warner Brothers. She said the following. She goes, even when I first joined Wonder Woman, it was like, yeah, okay, but let's do this the other way. But I was like, women don't want to see that. Her being harsh and tough and cutting people's heads off. I'm a Wonder Woman fan. That's not what we're looking for. Still, I could feel the shaky nervousness on their part of my point of view. In response to that, Zack Snyder tweets out this photo and this caption. He says, Wonder Woman 1854, this amazing image shot by Stephen Berkman of an Elseworld war-weary Diana who had chased Ares across the battlefields of the world and had yet to meet Steve, who would help her restore her faith in mankind and love itself. And it's the sepia-toned fucking photo of her with these warriors, and it's sick photo, and she's holding severed heads.
Oh, shit.
Which is the most alarming thing. So, you guys, clearly we have two versions of
That's a bridge too
this
far.
character here.
I mean,
which
there's
one
a
is more
difference
accurate?
between, okay, like, we all understand that Patty Jenkins just saw the Wonder Woman TV show, Linda Carter, which is like the worst version of Wonder
And
Woman.
made that into a movie.
And thinks that that's what Wonder Woman is, and that's only like a small portion of what Wonder Woman is.
Yeah.
And in the comics, especially, she's been portrayed as a fierce warrior, someone you don't want to fuck with, someone that could go toe to toe with a lot of things, and usually will use a lot of harsh violence that Superman wouldn't. So she's the hard hard case where Superman's more of a softie.
She would snap Zod's head, not
Yeah, she snapped Maxwell Lord's head.
Lord.
Yeah, so
she should have snapped.
I said
yeah.
snapped.
Oh.
Anyway, I said she snapped it.
Wait, she did that in the comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a huge steal.
That's where they ripped off the thing for Man of Steel. They used that whole moment.
Oh shit! I didn't know
Anyhow,
that.
so in the comics, she does fucking take no prisoners, and she does kill, and she does all those things. So I don't know. They're both wrong.
Yeah, man, you're probably right. Anthony,
I feel like
Crimean War here. What do you think?
That photo actually is kind of interesting
It is.
seeing her with all those different kind of like a united tribe
Yeah.
of heroes
Yeah.
of warriors. But Zack Snyder, as usual, just can't contain himself. Her holding the severed heads,
Yeah.
I think, as Rugboy mentioned, is the step I would say too far for the character. I don't even necessarily have a problem with her killing people in battle.
Yeah.
Like if she's this warrior, because Captain America kills all the time.
If you
Like,
have to.
There's plenty of heroes that kill.
Yeah.
But I don't think she would walk around with the heads of her enemies to gloat about it. I think that's not. I don't think that's. I haven't read a ton of Wonder Woman, but I don't think that is a character trait that a hero like her would have.
Gerald, do you want to
Ever.
see this flashback in the next movie?
It's a badass picture.
It is a
I'll tell you
badass
that.
picture. That's the thing.
Sure.
That could end up on somebody's wall there.
Yeah.
That's it's a pretty sweet pick. Yeah, I'm down for Wonder Woman, man. I get the criticism that you guys are mentioning for the current Wonder Woman because it does harken back a little bit to Linda Carter more than anything else, a little cartoonish, if you will. But I just love that character. I mean, it's just it's female empowerment to the tilt, man. Just kicking ass.
Yeah.
And Gal's awesome in that role. And yeah, I'm down for any Wonder Woman in any era.
Oh,
pretty much.
even
But this is badass.
That's badass. Let's see Wonder Woman chop some heads off.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
He likes it. Yeah, it's crazy. Just the two versions from the two different creators, and the one guy who like cast Gal Gadot and gave us the image of her, and this is his idea versus her. It's wild. So I thought that was interesting. Gerald, are you a fan of award shows?
Dude, you know this. I'm an award snob, brother.
Yes,
I
you
love
are. Are you sad that they're mostly going to be canceled and have been?
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I mean, guys, come on. 2020 and COVID was just a fucking shit show. Everything is falling. Everything's screwed. We're just trying to recapture whatever glory we can this year, hopefully.
This year's not much better. Well, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe 2022.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, no, I'm a big awards guy, man.
So this came out. Grammys postponed 2021 ceremony. They were supposed to air it at the end of this month, January 31st. So they moved it back to March 14th. So it's not a huge pushback, but we'll see how they roll. In the meantime, the Oscars 2021 still planning to roll in April. They've asked director Steven Soderbergh to co-produce the show, which organizers say will respond directly to the effects of the COVID pandemic. They don't know what form the event will take, but the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts is reportedly exploring how an in-person ceremony could work, first of all.
Shit.
Okay. Second of all, I remember when they announced they pushed this back, and Anthony, we had this discussion, and I think I've changed my mind. I kind of feel like this it should be canceled this whole year. It's an asterisk year of movies. Is it fair to put that up against each other? Why not wait, roll everything in when there's a bunch of shit? I like it better when there's a bunch of movies.
Can I disagree with you? Or
Yes,
that's
you
fine?
can.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
This actually happens regularly on this show, especially when someone likes everything. Usually,
I think cancel.
Look, man, I'm a cinephile. I'm a movie guy, and one of the questions I'll get asked, or people in general that like movies will get asked, is, was this a good year for movies? Do you think it was a good year for movies? And I say every year is a good year for movies, as long as they're being made.
Yeah.
2020 was an amazing year. There were some films that were released that are literally works of art.
Yeah.
Let's hear some of them because I actually have. I want to watch some, and I've been getting into.
He's Mr. Oscar now.
I'm Mr. Cinephile now as well. So.
Well, Anthony, I have my top 5 films of 2020 coming out next week, so I have to be careful.
Let's hear like two.
All right.
Two maybe honorable mentions.
There you go.
The best movie that I saw to date is a movie called Promising Young Woman with Carey Mulligan.
I've heard of a lot of people talk about this.
Came out in limited release on Christmas Day, and it's going to be streaming on January 15th, Anthony, so you can buckle up for that.
All right.
Let's see. Freaky? Freaky was great. I'm a horror guy, so I love horror movies. Freaky's the one where it's like Freaky Friday the 13th. So it's Vince Vaughn and this teenage girl, and they switch bodies, but it's a horror. It's a horror comedy.
Wow.
So he's a serial killer, and she takes his soul and starts killing people.
Gerald, I made this argument earlier, and I'm against Imran on this as well, and maybe you agree. This is the year that not a ton of big blockbusters came out. Whatever, like it's still a year of movies. You have to reward the year of movies for what it is, and maybe this props up movies that wouldn't have gotten the attention in a normal year. So
yeah, I mean, I got an opportunity to go to a film festival back in October locally here, and they put it on, man, and they were right in the height of COVID, and they did it. They partnered with this drive-in, so it was all outdoors, which was really cool, which is not something they normally do.
Yeah.
But I got to see a lot of new releases, and that episode that I'm doing will be out in a couple weeks. But I say that we have to honor cinema, and we have to honor the filmmakers and the movie making process at any opportunity we have, and especially right now, because these guys that are working behind the scenes, whether it's editors or I mean, anybody that's on a film set, I mean, think of how disadvantaged they are right now during COVID and how much little prestige they're getting from what they're used to. So let's lift those guys up and let's honor films. I would never, ever, Imran, vote for the Oscars to be canceled. I get your perspective, but for me, the show must go on, man.
I'm saying not honor them. I'm just saying wait till next year. But you make a valid point that it makes it even more special that you are now talking about these people who had to work in these crazy conditions and still manage to make art and make good art.
Yeah, I mean, some amazing stuff came out. When people enter into and I'm a movie guy, so I'm sorry I'm getting super passionate, but
that's great.
Go for it.
When people enter into these projects and they go on, whether it's a director or like my daughter's going to film school right now to be an editor.
Oh wow!
Whatever it is, that's their life's work, man. And when they do that, they might not say it. Like certain people might not say it, but they're doing it for things like the Academy Awards. I mean, that's obviously in their mind when they enter into that line of work. And for that to be canceled or for that to be kind of put to the side just because of a pandemic, I feel like would be a shame.
Well, then let me ask you this. If you saw an in-person ceremony be weird, or should they do it all like virtual like they did the Emmys?
Yeah, I didn't get to catch that actually, so I don't know how that played out.
Right.
It was all right. They got to be safe. I mean, they got to be safe. Yeah. You don't want to have the Oscars and then the next morning, 50 people have COVID. So
yes,
they got to be safe and they got to be smart about it. But I guess what I'm saying is whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, we have to have the awards.
I completely agree.
You bastards. The Emmys were interesting because everyone had a camera in their house and they would go to the winners' house.
Okay. All right.
Except in the beginning, Schitt's Creek won the first hour of awards, 7 awards nonstop. So it just kept going back to the same fucking place where the people were.
The question that I have is, if it's not the actual award show, as we know it,
right?
And you get the award during that show, and that's your one award, and you get it in that kind of shitty show. Aren't you going to feel a little bit gypped?
You still get the award. You still got an Emmy at the end of the fucking
you still get it. But
you're still an Academy Award winner.
It's not the same kind of night. You don't get the red carpet. You kind of miss the whole experience. So you're like, yeah, I won the Oscar. But if they would have just waited another year, I could have had that real experience. So that's the only reason I would send aside with Imran about this, because then the people who are getting this once in a moment lifetime are going to get this really shitty version of it. But whatever. I mean, as long as they're cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think you guys are leaning more towards about the show specifically, the production of putting on the show. And that part I kind of would agree with you, because like I said, they have to be safe and they have to be smart. You don't want to have a giant, theater with all these people, shoulder to shoulder during a pandemic. That's a bad look, obviously. So I kind of agree with you guys in that respect. But I mean,
imagine you're like a starting director. This is your big film. You never know if you're going to ever get nominated again.
Right.
And you imagine going to the Oscars, bumping elbows with celebrities. And all of a sudden you just got to do this kind of thing on TV.
Yeah.
You in your house with a fucking camera or
isolated
something.
pod.
So it's I would rather hey, let's just put it off till next year. We can actually really do it.
Gerald, I got a question for you now that I know you're a big cinephile guy. Mm-hmm. Do you care about the Oscars? Do you go and watch every year? And are you do you follow all the nominees and all that stuff?
Absolutely. Yep. I do.
So are you on Gold Derby and all that?
No, I haven't. No, I'm not on there, but I know of it though. But yeah.
Okay, it's like an odds betting forum for like Hollywood races.
Whoa.
Yeah, I have a group of friends where we do brackets and stuff, kind of like March Madness, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But for the nominees,
that's fun.
Have you been kind of keeping track of like best picture candidates in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know if you recall at the top, but I actually have an award show that I do for my show.
Golden Peas. Remember we were talking about peeing?
Yeah, the Golden Peas, and it's kind of molded around shows like the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and then I poll the podcast and like critic community on Twitter, and I just kind of compile. I've already started compiling my nominees for this year's show. So I usually try to do it in conjunction with the Oscars. The problem with this year is that the Oscars are going to be airing so much later. I think in April, they said.
Yes, April.
So I'm going to probably have my winners announced like in March. So I don't know how much of it will cross over, as we have the last couple of years, but I'd follow it very closely to answer your question.
When is the cutoff for eligibility if it's in April? Is it like March then? Movies?
They still do the calendar year, but I think they postponed it. Well, obviously because of COVID, because they want to do it in person. That's really why they postponed it.
Okay, so it's still 2020.
And they wanted like there was going to be a lot of movies that they thought were going to come out, and they wanted to kind of extend that period.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a movie that Frances McDormand was in that's going to be a front runner at the Oscars. Nomadland. And that film, I got to see at the film festival, so I've seen it.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh,
man. It was amazing. It's in my top 10 of the year for sure. But that movie is not going to be released theatrically until February.
Oh, shit.
But it still counts for 2020 Oscars.
Right, so it'll count for the Oscars. So that I'm just using that film as an example. There's a lot of situations like that where, like I don't know if you guys remember last year, but like 1917, Sam Mendes' film.
Yep.
Was a 2019 film, but it didn't get released in theaters till like January.
Oh, okay.
We're just like, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they do some of that with release dates. I know they like to get it at the end of the year because the Academy screens all those films at the beginning of January. So,
well, they also, like, for instance, 1917, and you even saw it with Parasite where, Parasite came out in like October, but they like to release it towards the end of the year and then potentially get in the voters' minds, get that Oscar buzz, and then have it go while the Oscars are going, so that people, so then people can go back out and see them, and they get that Oscar bump.
It's smart.
Yeah, it's kind of smart.
No, I get the campaigning of it for sure. But yeah, man, it's such a weird year, man. But I guess Imran, to get back to kind of what you were asking initially, like we got to honor these films, man. I mean, I feel like now is almost it may be the most important year to do that, honestly. Now, how it's done, I don't know.
Well, on the other hand, you have Steven Soderbergh producing, so maybe we'll get cool, long, handheld shots of trophies, and it's very ambient and moody, and it's just like slow, handheld tracking shot of shit, fucking Soderbergh style.
He filmed a whole movie on his phone, right?
Yeah. I heard,
on iPhones. It was what was it called again? It was Unsane or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted
Unsane.
I wanted to watch that. Did he cut it on the phone? You could cut it on the phone too.
I think so. I mean, on the Wikipedia page for Unsane, if that's the title, I apologize if not, but I think that's the title of it. It says it was all shot on iPhones.
Dude, he's going to shoot this Oscar just on the iPhone. Watch. That's going to be the look.
I got more questions for you, Gerald, but I think we should save them for the Soul discussion because I think it'll come up.
Yeah, sure, man. Absolutely. I'm always here to talk movies, brother.
Ruggs teased our logo and our merch earlier. Well, listener, if you visit jockandnerd.com/shop, you will see our new logo up for sale on t-shirts and everything. There'll be two versions. There's a color version and then there's a black and white version. The black and white logo on a black shirt looks fucking dope. Oh, shit. It actually looks really sharp and gets better. This week, January 13th through 16th, we will have a sale at our T Public shop. You can get the new look for up to 35% off everything. That means you got $13 t-shirts, $20 phone cases, $30 hoodies. Nerd. Get the new look, put it on you. And the old shit will be there also. You can buy that if you like it. Visit jockandnerd.com/shop this week. Put on the new look. The last story I got for the news fellas, funny, I had to put this in. Gerald, have you seen The Boys on Amazon?
I watched the first season.
Okay. Well, are you going to watch the second season? I'm going to spoil a little bit of it.
It is on my radar, but just fucking talk. I'm so old, I'll probably forget what you say anyway.
You'll forget.
So
and it's not even really that big of a spoiler. You guys remember in the facility Vought was testing their powers on, there was that one dude Whose power,
penis guy.
Yes, penis guy. There's the one dude. His power was he could elongate his sentient penis and use it to fucking choke people out. It was amazing.
Floppy jock.
It was not a floppy jock. It was a long fucking thing. Well, apparently Denmark is making a TV show about this guy. A kids TV show. Not exactly about this guy, but this story says the Danish equivalent of the BBC DR has a new animated series aimed at 4 to 8-year-olds about a character named John Dillerman, the man with the world's longest penis, who overcomes hardships and challenges with his record. Yeah, great word. Challenges with his record-breaking genitals. What in the ever-loving? What's going on here?
Can I tell you something that's really, really funny about this story, as if it needed a boost? So you said this to me, and then we're in this like parent group. I mean, I'm a dad, guys. Okay, so whatever. So I'm in this parent group on Facebook with my wife, and somebody shared it in there. And it was after I'd seen it on your thing, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And I commented, I'm like, "Yeah, my son's probably already seen the whole thing on YouTube Kids, because he's on screens like 10 hours a day with homeschooling." I don't know, man. This is fucking weird. I mean, I guess the show in itself is weird already, but why is it being
a kid, and specifically a kid's show? So in the image here, Anthony, you see this image, the guy's using his penis to pour gasoline on a barbecue. Maybe kids in Denmark mature quicker? Anybody have any guesses?
I guess the sooner you know, the more you can do with that thing, Maybe there's unlocked talents by figuring out or watching shows about your penis at that young of an age.
You just gotta
maybe
look
it
up.
Becomes like a third leg or like another arm.
You just gotta look up meat spin, and you can see what you do.
Maybe if you really learned about the skills your penis could have
be
at
a
like
better
6,
person. Yeah.
you might be able to like train it like a muscle and do things like this. Cut grass with your penis.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. You're gonna lie
edge your lawn.
You lie in the hammock while your penis is edging your bushes.
Yeah.
I mean, kids would love this, if I was a kid, this would be my favorite show. I want to watch the penis show now.
Put on the penis show.
That would be the show that you would like talk about in silent, like talk about very discreetly at school and be like, did you catch that show, the penis show?
Yeah.
How do we get on that show? Well, my mom like gave me her cell phone and it was unlocked, and then the child restrictions were off, and I just found it.
In here, it says his penis can perform rescue operations, etch murals, hoist a flag, even steal ice cream from children. That's a horrifying thought.
Shit.
Yikes.
Mom, the penis stole my ice cream. What the shit, Denmark? Denmark is so cool and unrepressed. I'm
I guess, I mean, kids are watching anime, which has got that already. So there's plenty of
hentai?
Yeah,
no hentai for the fucking kids. Look, Denmark will let you smoke weed. They let you do whatever you want.
Look, the shit the kids are getting into on the computers right now is way worse than Penis Man.
Yeah, and I'd rather have them watch it in front of me than go off and watch it.
What?
That's awkward. No.
Wait a minute.
You'd rather have them watch it in
Hold on
front
a
of you?
second.
Don't watch anything. Don't. Look
I mean,
at
as
this.
long as it's just an appendage and not sexual, I think it's okay.
So I wonder, it's covered up in his like bathing suit. I wonder if it's always like it's striped. It's wearing an apparel. I
I need a copy of this immediately. So if any of our listeners in Denmark want to get me a copy.
Yeah, what's the merchandising going to be like for this? What is it going to be? A little like stuffed dolls with just wrap around?
Yeah, jump ropes
appendages?
And shit. Yeah, use it as a jump rope or a fucking lasso.
Yeah, I don't know.
A little pulley string. Anyways.
I mean, I need merch immediately.
I feel like this image, like this dude seems like he's wearing a dress.
It looks like an old school like bathing suit.
Is this from the show or is this like a placeholder?
Still from the first episode of John Dillerman, it says.
It looks like it might be a girl. I mean, I guess guys can wear dresses. They can do whatever they want. So can girls. But it could be confused as a girl with a mustache and her umbilical cord is out.
Yes.
Like she's pregnant.
Is that connected to his belly button,
Mom?
Mom?
The dress is a little confusing, I guess. I guess they're just going for a non-binary character here.
That's how you explain it to kids. You'd be like, no, that's coming out of his belly button. Don't worry about it. Turn that off. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Anyways,
I'm still on board with the penis being a tool that we just haven't really utilized all that well.
We have not.
As human beings.
I definitely haven't utilized it well. You're right.
Like monkeys, is that a tail or is that their penis? Has anyone really investigated? Let's get Adam Morris on.
We really like batting 1,000 with dick jokes today. We're like, we started out the gate. We've just been continuously.
Whole story about dick jokes is perfect. We nailed it with that. With that done, we can now.
Is your dick the last appendage that isn't white?
Oh, everything's white, baby.
Oh, okay.
Everything's gone white.
Even his butthole.
Maybe my taint. I don't know. I can't see under there. I don't know.
It's usually
maybe
brown
the butthole.
even on white people.
Yeah. So buttholes are always brown.
That'd be super confusing if you had like a dick like that and it was just brown as fuck.
It would make sense if it was long.
Yeah.
Long and brown.
Is that shit or is that your penis?
I'm not jealous of John Dillerman. Okay, we're going to take a break, play some promos, you motherfuckers, and we'll be back
You brought it up.
to talk about our soul, your soul, everybody's soul. Right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What's up, Jock and Nerd Nation? This is Logan at Mostly Superheroes, a podcast that was partly inspired by the Jock and Nerd podcast. We talk about a lot of the same stuff, MCU, DC heavy, with other content that comes out of HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and more. We're committing to doing something new every day in 2021, so come join the fun, check out the schedule. Find us at mostlysuperheroes.com and enjoy the rest of the show.
Was A Quiet Place inspired by Signs, It Comes at Night, and War for the Planet of the Apes? Was Ready Player One influenced by Avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Last Starfighter? Is The Hurricane Heist more influenced by Sharknado or Geostorm? These are the kinds of questions my guest co-hosts and I discuss on my podcast, Piecing It Together. Every week, we look at a new movie and try to figure out what other movies inspired it. Whether it's the story, the character development, tone, or even use of music. Every movie was influenced by something that came before, and we want to figure out what. Check out Piecing It Together on your favorite podcast app or check us out on piecingpod.com. You can also follow us on social media at piecingpod. Piecing It Together is a part of the All Points West podcast network.
And nerd.
Listener, if you enjoy the show and want to support and get bonus content, there's one thing you should do. Join our fan club. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd.
For where as little as $3 a month, you will get bonus content, access to an exclusive private RSS feed just for our supporters. The shows come out early. We post lots of bonus content. New Jock Talk this week with Chaz.
Their bottom is very weak.
Chazington Smith. Got to say thank you. Our latest, we got a new patron, and it's none other than our guest from last episode, Logan Janis from the Mostly Superheroes podcast.
Jock and Nerd. Oh, shit.
Thank you so much for signing up. He also joined the Facebook group, Jock and Nerd Nation, so
thank you, Logan.
Welcome.
we're making new pod friends.
He was dope to have on.
Yeah,
so.
he was a lot of fun. You can check out his show. Another benefit of joining the Patreon is I revealed the logo there earlier, kind of just to feel out what people thought, because I was a little nervous. Let's be honest.
It stinks.
And
It
yes, no, I
stinks.
already.
This is going great.
Yes, it's not. I already shit on it.
Lame.
It's not funny. So I put it up. So
Not funny.
You got to see it.
Not funny.
You got to see it there, but I have some comments. Logan Janis said, fresh. Jess Rivera said, there's a website. PC, nobody goes to the website. Romberto said, sweet. Wes Cranford says, much more mature and classy. Not sure that's a fair representation of the show. He has a point.
He'd be correct.
He has a point. And then Rokas Baroka says, I think I might get some merch now.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So that comment made me think maybe I did a fucking okay job.
Wait, there's a new logo. Did we talk about this yet?
There's a new logo. Wait, is there a new logo? What show is this?
Wait a minute. And that's the end of the show. We had Gerald on to talk about our logo.
What podcast
Thanks,
is
Gerald.
What is this? What
The
show
one
is this?
podcast you get to go on, we just spend on our entire logo. Way to go, Imran.
Yeah, he's majorly nose bowling right now.
What a nose bowling squilt.
Yeah, I got an episode for you to come on, Gerald. Come on, this one.
This one, you'll never forget the episode we revealed the new logo. There's
We're
a new
talking about really
shit.
important things
Check
and
out the
interesting
website.
Ron's
topics.
just whiffing his shit
Check
like
out the
no
website,
tomorrow.
jockandnerd.com, listener. Okay, fuck the logo. Let's get to the review, jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Let's get to the review for this episode. It is Pixar's latest Soul on Disney+. Here are your spoiler alerts.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
This is Pixar's 23rd feature, matching up with the MCU there. Released to stream exclusively on Disney+, had a theatrical release. Of course, everything had to pivot, improvise. Came out on Christmas Day. The other movie that came out on Christmas Day, going up against Wonder Woman 1984. And it is the first feature-length film from Pixar not to be given a wide theatrical release, which is crazy, and the first one to be billed as a Disney Plus original film. On Rotten Tomatoes, as these Pixar movies go, it is sitting at a nice 96%. Tomato meter 8.4 out of 10 average rating. This movie was directed by Pete Docter, co-directed by Kemp Powers, written by Pete Docter, Mike Jones, and Kemp Powers. And if you don't know Pete Docter, he has written and directed Monsters, Inc., Up, and Inside Out. And he's kind of like the guy who's going to be heading up Pixar moving forward. I don't think he's going to be making any more movies. I watched this interview. He's going to be like the head creative dude. Starring the voice talents, amazing voice talents. You got Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, Rachel House, Alice Braga, Richard Ayoade, Felicia Rashad, Donnell Rawlings, Questlove, Angela Bassett, David Diggs, and others. And then I thought this was interesting. Music by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Oh, shit.
They did the score going from like Watchmen to this fucking family movie. I love the stuff they're doing. And then John Batiste, who is a jazz musician and the band leader for Stephen Colbert's band, provided the jazz music and the jazz hands to animate.
Nothing like good jazz hands. That's for sure.
You gotta have jazz hands. Always with the jazz hands. Anthony, what happens in Soul? What is it about?
Let me jog my memory because I watched this on Christmas on Christmas Day. So 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. So it's about this dude who was a teacher, and he lives in would we say New York?
It is New York. Yes,
it looks like New York maybe. And he's very passionate about jazz. Yet he's stuck being a teacher because he never got his big break, and he finally gets his big break to play in some band. And he falls in a sewer and dies. And he enters this world that is, I forget what they deem it in the film, but it's like he's going to heaven, and he escapes heaven and gets to like the pre-heaven. Like
the great before.
The great before, there you go.
The great before and the great beyond.
And he's scheming his way to get back to his body because he found his purpose, and he can't die before he finds his purpose and gets to live it out. So that's what this movie's about.
Gerald, why don't you open up? Give us your opening thoughts as this movie ended. It's a rough opening for a kids movie with a death of your main character right there.
Yeah, it is. Although I guess they kind of lessen that blow a little bit by kind of showing that in all the trailers and the promotional materials.
That's true.
So, in other words, it wasn't like it kind of came out of nowhere if you had some kind of knowledge of the film. I mean, I will just say I love this movie. It's, Anthony and I were talking earlier, and I think it's among the best of the year for sure. It's kind of a bummer, I guess, that it didn't get to be released in theaters.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like a double-edged sword because it's a cool thing, too, being able to share it with your family at home.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have Disney Plus already, what rock are you under? But if you didn't, maybe you went and got it, for stuff like this, And Pixar kills it, man. I mean, you mentioned it, 23 movies, but they're all, I mean, there's a few what would be considered duds, perhaps, in those 23 features, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what they do is they take, or what they've gotten to a point where they do, and Pete Docter's a big part of that, is where they take this kind of like fantastical story and this kind of like mysterious thing, which in this case is the great before and the great beyond. And then an Inside Out is like inside of a girl's brain, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then they mix it with this really like rooted in reality story that's going on at the same time. Like when Joe's actually in New York, there's a lot of characters in that setting in New York City that are like real people that are, folks that we've interacted with at our jobs or friends of ours or family members, like, having arguments with our mother and, stuff like that. But then they mix it with this really cool, just like fantastical stuff. And Pixar has been doing that really successfully for the last like decade, and I feel like Soul is one of the better movies. I don't put it above. It's funny that Pete Docter is at the helm here because Up and Inside Out I would probably put above Soul.
I was kind of feeling the same thing there a little bit. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I do think it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Anthony.
Shut up, Imran. No one wants to hear your opinion.
Well, what did you think, you fuck? Did this movie make you reevaluate your life and tell you you're wasting everything chasing tail on Tinder?
I don't think you actually got the point of the movie. So there you go.
Well, what I wanted to ask you is I did, and from the point of view of a creative, and I'm curious, if you're not a creative, I'm sure it still applies, but how does it apply?
Again, I don't think you got the point of the movie. The point of the movie, if we're going to go to that point, is not that you need a purpose, is just to live every day. That you don't necessarily need to find. There's no one thing that makes life worth living. It's just living. So
I agree with you, Anthony. However, what I'll pose to the other dudes too is that a perception? Because that's also what I think after seeing the film, which is not necessarily what I thought before seeing the film, which is a pretty impactful thing that the filmmakers did here.
Yeah.
Is that they can make someone, in my case, I'm 45 years old, so they can make somebody that's 45 stop and go, well, wait a second. What really is important here? I mean, that's kind of a really amazing feat, in my opinion. It goes beyond just kind of being a movie at that point, if that makes sense, what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And to piggyback on that, so I'm with you 100%, Gerald. I loved this movie. And I'm not a Pixar guy. I've only watched Up and Toy Story. But this movie was a type of movie where I went, shit, man, I've been missing out on Pixar. I could watch some more Pixar stuff. And I like how this movie, it made me laugh. It made me, at times, there were some moments in there where I got a little misty. I think I was cutting some onions at the same time, and it just happened to hit this moment. But
you're not cutting onions. Get the fuck out of here.
There's a question at the end of the movie that makes you really consider what the meaning of life is, and I think that's wow, this movie makes you every movie prior to this that I've seen always answers it with you got to do what you're passionate about. You got to find your purpose, and if you don't find that one thing, then it is kind of a waste, right? And that's where they were kind of going, but then they sidetrack. They do a hard turn and they go, no, that's not the purpose. The lesson of this is just, as I said earlier, to live and to enjoy the moments that you have in your life. And I like how they are able to, again, kind of echoing Gerald, I like how they're able to have these real discussions and these things that make you think, and they're able to incorporate laughs for children, but then also get really weird and heady and out there in terms
existential.
Of the way they're portraying these concepts of the great before and going to heaven and how that would all look. So that's all really fun, and I especially like the space where they portrayed where you're kind of in this nirvana
zone,
state, where you're in a flow state.
Yeah,
that was really fucking that. So that's kind of another level too. So all that stuff, the way they were able to blend all that together. I haven't seen as many movies as Gerald, but right off the bat, I mean, I think this is a contender for an Oscar and a movie of the year.
Damn.
So really good.
Ruggs, how did this movie affect you?
Well, I enjoyed this movie. I watched it twice. I'm going to say this right off the bat. This is not the movie that I expected. All right. I expected a different movie, and I didn't really think it was going to be a body switch movie. Midway.
Part
and
of
I was
it
I know why they're doing this, because they want us to get to this point where they want you to say, oh, this is how he finds out that, or their soul, number 22, finds out that you don't need a purpose.
Right.
And that's the main crux of the story, I guess, that, which is the juxtaposition against, whatever his name is. What's his name? Joe. So Joe, his whole entire existence is based on this idea of himself having a purpose. And 22 doesn't want a purpose. He thinks they're stupid, or she, or whatever, she thinks they're stupid. And then by being in Joe's body, just an ordinary everyday stuff, that's the reason to live, right? And they needed to do this body switch thing in order to get that across, I guess. So I mean, I felt like I kind of was at the point where they introduced that swap thing, I was kind of less into the movie. I thought it was going to go in a different direction, kind of be really exploring what it is to be a soul. Mm-hmm. And it's more about people it's not what's the point of life. It's how do you be happy in life? It's not what's the point of life. Why are we here? It's kind of how do you enjoy life? Like, how do you, so it was a different spin on what I expected. Now, with that said, I really loved the movie. I think it was cool. And I like the different messages about like, being, finding your thing and then getting into the zone and that connecting you with a higher power and being a creative person myself and knowing what that's like and knowing, or if I can imagine if you're really good at sports, or whatever, you get into a zone, or if you're a musician, you get into a zone where you kind of connect with something that's otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, yes, you can live your whole life without that, but you're missing out if you don't have that.
Right.
And that's just my personal opinion. It's not what they're trying to get across. I think that everyone should search for that.
But I think that you can take that away from this too, though. I think that's what's so really cool about this movie, though, Rug Boy, is that it's like so multidimensional because there really is no wrong answer. Like this movie is really kind of giving you just like a plateau with all these different ways that you can look at life and you can look at, the afterlife, if you will. So I think that's really cool. And I think that's interesting. And to piggyback on what you're saying too, what they did that was ingenious when you get into the great beyond and the great before stuff, after he falls in the manhole, what they do is they put 22, who's one of our main characters, that's cynical, that has no desire to do anything of this world, right? And then you have this other character, Joe, who is our other main character, that just wants to get back there and he wants to live life and he's all about chasing life, so to speak. And they're two like juxtaposed characters that just butt heads. But in the end, you need a little bit from both of them to kind of get your whole. Do you know what I mean?
And I'll tell you why that didn't really work as well for me. Is because 22 was already living a life at that point. 22 was already existed for years doing what he wanted to.
Thousands of years.
Of years, yeah. But
it was like, okay, well, this is just something that you're missing out on. It's not like you're already having an exist. So it's like, is this an existence or not? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, her existence wasn't. She didn't really get to taste anything. She didn't get to feel anything.
Yeah. It wasn't human.
Kind of empty.
She was like she would eat the pizza and it would just go right through. She's like, huh? What?
Yeah.
So I guess that'd just be the small counter I'd have. But that's a good point, Ruggs.
Yeah. So there's certain things that kind of softened the blow for me as much of like a big deal was, because like she was enjoying herself being an asshole for years.
Yeah, she was.
She was like, and she was good at
it.
Yeah. She pissed off every person she met every celebrity known to man.
I love all her mentors that she had. Muhammad Ali and fucking all the people are great.
So I mean, like, she didn't get to eat pizza or whatever, or the music didn't do anything for her, but they tried to tell her about music. They tried to educate her on those things. So it was a weird thing that those two things were like kind of parallel to each other.
But ultimately, it's an accident that lands her in his body where she gets this opportunity to appreciate the little things.
I mean, it's cute. Like, it's cute when it happens. And I think that they get to wherever they need to get. And it does work. It's very effective. So I'm not like saying that I didn't enjoy it. I watched it twice, and I enjoyed it. But I was just like, but yeah. So, but I always question sometimes how would I have written it, or what is there a better way to go about this, or is this a way that kid can understand it only? Is this why they did it that way? So I always kind of ask those questions when I watch a film.
And in regards to the body swap portion, it wasn't the whole movie. It was a segment, but man. The stuff, the meaningful things that happens that, 22 gets Joe to realize what he's really like. Just the trying to hail a cab as a black man in a hospital robe. Like, there's a little joke about that.
Yes.
Him tasting pizza for the first time. The barbershop scene where
that was great.
Where he realizes he's just been selfish and, doesn't listen to Dez. And that was great. And then the conversation with his mom was something. Oh, that hit a little close to home. The conversation with his mom when 22 blurts out everything he's saying, and he finally tells her how he feels. Let me tell you why. My whole life, all I wanted to do is be a fucking artist, go to art school, draw, illustrate, and my parents just considered that a hobby. They never. You have Asian parents, Anthony. You know how they are. They're
Asian parent,
one Asian
I
parent,
have half,
and
yes.
half family. But you know how they could be. They're like, this is your hobby. You should go to school for something else. And I never felt like they understood that. No, this is kind of my passion. But then the movie threw me for such a loop because, like you said, you're going through this message of you got to do what your passion is. That's your life. And the moment where Joe achieves his dream and then it leaves him empty, I was like, oh, fuck, where is this going?
Mm-hmm.
And then the story she tells him about the young fish looking for the ocean. What did you guys think? What'd you take away from that story? He's like, I'm looking for the ocean. And he goes, no, man, this is the water. I'm looking for the ocean. But as a creative, I can relate because in some sense, you're always chasing this next level of whatever success, whatever it means, but it's never enough. And then you want to get the fucking next thing.
A thing about that is there are certain kinds of stuff that you do, right? And you might feel different after you do it. Let's say you become a Hollywood star. Everybody sees you. You're famous. Your life changes in this profound way when you achieve that dream. But if your dream is to be a doctor, there's no ceremony. There's nobody rolling out the red carpet for you. So you might feel like, okay, I've done this, and now what?
Yeah, that's
and sometimes there's that feeling of like you get to your hobby that becomes your passion, and that becomes the thing you're doing all the time. But then that also becomes your job. And that's what I took away from that. Because she was like, okay, see you tomorrow at the same time. And in that moment, I thought the character was like, wait a minute, like, we're just doing this again and again and again. Like, it's like almost like, oh, this is work. Like, this isn't just a fun thing. Like, this is, you have to do this. You have to clock in every day doing this.
Yeah, what you dudes are saying is like, it's your dream, right? But once you achieve the dream, then what is it? Is it still a dream?
Yeah,
or
what's
is it,
next? It becomes work.
Right.
So to kind of relate it to me, I'm not the creative amongst the group here. Never have been. Probably never will be. And there's definitely times where you're in college, and even when you get out of college, where you're like, what? You're like, I don't really want to be a doctor. I don't really want to be an athlete. I can't be an athlete. I don't really want to do music. Like, what? Am I just going to work a 9-to-5 job the rest of my life? Right. So like you definitely sit there and you think about like what is my purpose? What am I even doing? What am I even passionate about? And I thought the scene where he goes back to his apartment, and he's playing the piano and he's reliving not only the memories he had where 22 was in his body,
her memories,
but then all his her memories, but then he's thinking back to his memories as a child. Yeah. And I'm like, that was a moment where I was like, oh man, I freaking lost it. I was like, oh my god, that's like it's like that's where I took away that. The thing I told you earlier, where it's like it's not about just the memories, like it's not just about like finding that one thing and driving, single focused on this one thing that you could accomplish to like achieve this thing you wanted in your life. But it's like look back at the journey and how you got there, and that's what's important.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of great stuff in there when you look at it like that. It really is moving in how they shot it, and the music is just a fucking amazing. The direction is amazing.
The jazz is great.
It is really like a masterpiece.
So I love the idea how they showed lost souls. There's that line you were just talking about this, Anthony. The line Moonwind says, "When joy becomes an obsession, one becomes disconnected from life." And the whole how they showed it, the concept of it was fucking brilliant.
I got to throw in a sports thing too. It made me fucking die.
I know what you're talking about.
When 22 was like, I've been messing with this one team for like years when they're in their zone, and then it just cuts to the Knicks and the guy missing a dunk.
Yeah, that's great.
As a sports guy, I mean, it's so fucking funny because the Knicks have been awful, Imran, for so long, and
a long time,
and they're like one of the NBA's like premier franchises in a big city. Like it's just so fucking funny.
It's an embarrassment.
Yeah,
I mean, I just love that whole.
As a New Yorker, it's embarrassing.
The whole idea of her fucking with people in their flow state was great.
And just consistently, the New York Knicks is just the greatest.
There's a lot of fucking little inside jokes and references and Easter eggs we'll get into a little bit. Fucking shitloads of Easter eggs. I just want to talk about the animation for a second because what they were able to do, the real world, the stylized realism, it was so real. It was so real. And then to introduce First of all, you have to design a soul. Do you know what the fuck hardest project that is for a character designer? What does a soul look like? So the way that they're fuzzy, the chromatic aberration, the slight color shift around them, and then they're just simplified versions of what the person looks like. And then the combination, and then the trippy fucking overseers that are 2D line drawings in 3D with an opaque thing. I got lit and I watched this. It was fucking wild. I was like, oh my God, look. It was just beautiful, gorgeous.
Now, can I ask a weird question? If you don't prescribe to heaven and hell and all that other stuff, does this kind of work for you?
Well, they refer to it as the great beyond.
Right.
So I think they purposely probably did that because unless I'm forgetting something, I don't feel like there was a lot of discussion about religion specifically.
Right. But let's say you don't believe in an afterlife. You're an atheist.
Well, if you don't believe in afterlife, period.
Yeah.
Then I guess
you're
this
shit out
probably
of luck.
wouldn't work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is not the movie for you.
Sorry. Go watch something else.
Yeah. I mean, do atheists believe that there's souls? I don't even know.
That's a good question.
Next show we have on an atheist.
Yes, we will find an atheist on the internet to explain all these things.
Go find an atheist jazz musician and get him on here.
I'm pretty close to that, but I believe in souls. You know, I believe in souls.
Find an atheist jazz musician and be like, "Does this movie offend you, sir?"
Cancel it.
Yes, this movie should be canceled. So, speaking of which, they got a little bit of flack for the body swap in the sense that this is the first black lead of a Pixar movie, and they end up body swapping him. And this is something they've done in other movies that have black characters. It was Princess and the Frog. So there's a little bit of fucking criticism in that. But narratively, story-wise, how's 22 going to fucking figure out what it is to live? And how's Joe going to learn the lessons that she showed?
I don't want to get in trouble here, but I mean, are we supposed... The people that are upset by that, are we supposed to believe that this was racially charged for them to do that?
No. I mean, the fact that...
no way.
It should be celebrated.
I don't know what's the negative... the concern?
No, it should be celebrated that the lead is a black musician. Like that, this is the first time Pixar's done that.
And there's a lot of black characters and culture featured in this movie, too. I mean, it's not just Joe.
Yeah, no, he makes references to black inventors and musicians, and... It was just really good. And then just the whole concept of jazz and jazz improvising in life, being in the moment, being in the flow state.
Jazz is the greatest analogy for that, right?
Yeah,
so
it's perfect.
I had seen a little featurette, and I guess initially Joe was an actor.
Yes.
That had gotten a break on Broadway or something like that, and they decided to go with jazz because Pete Docter is such a huge jazz person. So
there was also another thing where they introduced those like hippie characters, and they introduced the idea that you could meditate or get into that
Moonwind was
get to the great
state,
before or whatever, the flow state, just by like pure meditation. So it wasn't just like music or being an athlete or but you could find ways to get there if you like knew yourself.
I mean, he was hilarious. He was spinning the fucking sign in getting in this nirvana.
But his character's great, right? Because he's doing this like super mundane job that sucks for most people, and he's like the happiest guy.
Yeah, he just loves it. And then Anthony, notice on his shirt, he's wearing that phrase we said that we hate. The shirt says "living the dream," which is a great little.
Well, he's living in the dream,
but he's literally living in the dream. Let's talk about the ending. It's slightly ambiguous. We don't know what happens to 22. We don't know how Joe will change living given the second chance. Does he continue playing jazz? Does he find something else? What did you got? I like the ending.
I think that for Joe, I think once you get there, right? I think when you're a musician or a person that kind of wants to make it, you think about making it all the time, right? You think, oh, what if I made it? What if I just made it? Yeah. Everything would be great. And he's kind of gotten that break. And I think that maybe that desire to make it, he said he didn't feel the change. He said he didn't feel like this big difference in his life. And I think that maybe he'll be less focused on that, but still love to play and still probably try and play out when he can. And maybe just commit more to teaching, right? And I think that that's pretty good because the thing is when you have something, right, that gets you into that state, it doesn't have to be your job, like everybody said. You don't have, you just have to do it every once in a while. And I'm sure that he's going to want to always play the piano, right? So I think that that's where I see him. I see him not being so hyper focused anymore on trying to make it. I think he's already made it because he found something that can get them to that state that's so important. And it's not an obsession. It's just something that is an extension of him.
Yeah,
I would agree with that too. Oh, sorry,
absolutely.
Gerald. I
was going to say I agree as well. Go ahead, though. I'll piggyback.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say I look to just the cues in the movie for like what. First off, it's my minor criticism. I felt like the movie ended. I was liking the movie so much, and the runtime said like 1 hour and 45 minutes or 150. It ended at like 1:30.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half.
I was slightly disappointed at because I was loving the movie so much that it was an hour 30.
Wow.
That'd be probably one of my only criticisms. But as far as what he's going to do, the two things I noticed in the movie. First off, there's that moment where the girl that says she hates music comes to his apartment.
Yes.
And even though he's not in his body at the time, he still knows what happened and can think of that memory of getting that girl to like music again. And I think he realizes in that moment when he reflects playing the piano that he loves being a teacher. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to teach, as Rugboy said, he's going to do music. But at the end, he even says it. He goes, I don't know what I'm going to do with my second chance, but I'm just going to live, or something along those lines. And that's what it is. He's not going to go in with like a set plan for how the rest of his life goes. He's just going to go with it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the ending of this film was spectacular. Okay, so Soul is setting up this kind of existential kind of, thing for us to watch, right?
Yeah.
And it can't tie it up in a bow at the end.
No way.
Because that's the beauty, not only of this movie, but just of movies in general, is when they're open for discussion, kind of like we're doing right now, frankly. But my family watched this on Christmas Day. So it was me, my wife, and then my son, who's 7. And all three of us at the end of the movie were like, what happened to 22? Like,
right.
And we talk about it, and we're curious about it, and we're hopeful about what we think. And then Joe's fate as well. Now, I will say Joe's fate, I was a little more kind of like sure of myself, and it's almost exactly what you dudes just said.
Yeah.
Is that he, is having that kind of montage in his mind with his memories and with 22's memories towards the end of the film when he's playing the piano. And at that moment, I was like, and I think I may have actually said it when we were on the couch, and I was like, oh, his purpose is being a teacher. He realizes he needs to be helping kids, helping people, basically doing what he's been doing, but look at it as his fulfillment as opposed to kind of his detriment, And then, but what I was more intrigued by was 22, and not only, what she's going to do ultimately, but like just kind of the science of it.
Yeah, how does this work?
Like, is she a baby now? Like, that's what my wife said. My wife said like she was an unborn soul.
Yeah,
it would be great to see the whole thing. That's another thing that I like. They took us that far. I would like to see how it all played out.
I assume new souls go into babies.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But we clearly see her land somewhere in Asia, possibly China, which is very interesting.
Oh, shit.
They want to make movies that China loves. But yeah, going back to Joe, I also felt like he's going to realize how satisfying it is to actually teach children that he was missing.
Speaking of that moment, just real quick, just to highlight another thing that might have drawn up some emotion in me, is when he like agrees to give his life to her. And then she's like, well, will you come with me or something along those lines? He's like, I'll go with you as far as I can. And they both jump. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Like he was going to just die. He was going to give up his life for her.
No, he was dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He's
he was
done.
Giving it up. He hit his dream and he was like, I'll give it up for you.
And then the pulling away was also very emotional when she eventually lets go and the thing is pulling her and he just sees her go. And then he gets sucked back up. I was like, oh, fuck. And then you see him on the elevator. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, that's it for Joe. And I love how when you get to the great beyond, it's like a fly zapper. It just goes. Bzz, bzz, you just fucking.
I wanted to. Yeah, no, that was really cool. I wanted to mention something my wife said tonight that blew my fucking mind, guys. So she goes. She said, "Well, what if 22 is Boo?" from Monsters Inc.
Okay, you just brought up something I was going to bring up. Let's just jump there. Have you guys heard of the Pixar theory by this guy named John Negroni? I have a link here in the show notes. This guy, Gerald, you will love this. This guy says his theory is all of the Pixar movies actually exist within the same universe. When you click this button, enter the Pixar universe, it rearranges the movies in kind of chronological order. And you said Boo. Did you even know about Boo's role in this, Gerald?
No, no.
Okay.
I'm waiting to see what you say here.
This is where it goes. So if you start at Brave as the first movie in the 14th, 15th century, and you end at like the Monsters Inc. movies, it kind of shows you the evolution of humans, the sentience of toys and animals, moving to learning about humans, moving to the sentience of machines, and then eventually all of life getting wiped out, restarting at A Bug's Life, and becoming monsters. And there's things you can tie together. The portals they used in Soul, the doors, very similar to the portal they used in Monsters Inc., how they get around. The last thing of this thing says that the tying character to all this, Gerald, is fucking Boo.
Oh, shit.
Oh, really?
Here's what it says, that she actually time traveled back, was the old lady in Brave, and she's been learning how to use these doors and leave evidence in all movies.
Okay, the doors from her movie, from Monsters Inc.
Go through this site. It is a wild theory.
Oh, wow.
Where
I didn't click on that.
He can put everything that happens in these movies in one crazy Pixar universe. In fact, that takes me to Easter eggs and it kind of supports this theory. The majority of the Easter eggs in this movie is when they go to the Hall of Everything. I don't know if you guys did you catch anything in there, Gerald?
The only thing I saw when I watched it, I did go back and watch the YouTube clips. Yeah. I saw obviously a bunch more, but the only thing I saw with my naked eye when I watched it was the Pizza Planet truck.
Yes, that's one of the main ones. So if this is the great before, there is shit in here from the future, from the past. Some of the quick things: the Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story, the balloon from Up, one of the fucking ships from WALL-E, the lamp is in there, the Pixar ball is in there. There is so many things there's like nods to Brave, there's nods to every movie. Everything refers to something else. So a lot of people saying this movie really does drive this theory home that everything is connected, and Boo's the one that's been dropping things throughout the movie, leaving Easter eggs.
That's great. That's great. I didn't even know that when I said that to you, because my wife blew my mind, and now it sounds like your mind was already blown with that information.
I was like, holy shit, it's a connected universe.
One of the things that I ended up thinking about after this movie was over, about 22 in particular, is that, okay, when you're in the great before, you know shit, you know about everything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, 22 drops into Joe's body and kind of like, okay, has to learn how to walk a little bit, but pretty much picks it up really quick. So when a soul is born into a baby, it knows everything. It just can't do anything?
Well, they kind of explain that. There is a line when he first shows up into the great before, the Jerry says, oh, you can get turned around. It's kind of being birthed is a traumatic experience and you forget all the shit, but we'll help you through it.
Oh,
he said something.
So you forget it.
He said something like that.
You're
I remember.
wiped clean.
Yeah.
It's all in I think it's all
your conscious
nature, like in you. So it's all things that could come out of you if you're nurtured correctly.
Yes.
Because I thought that didn't mean anything, because when 22 went to his body, she was like completely, I remember.
But that wasn't, he was already full grown. It wasn't a birth. And so, yeah.
How's that different? I don't know. I guess.
A couple other great,
don't think about it.
A couple of other great Easter eggs. The wall where she has the stickers of all her mentors has some fun names on there, like Jack Kirby was on there, and like Einstein, and like everybody. So everybody has tried to mentor 22 and failed. Did you get the Pizza Rat fucking Easter egg?
Oh,
yeah, I saw the Pizza Rat.
Dude, that was awesome.
Pizza Rat was great. So those were, there's a bunch more if you look up video. Like, there's literally hundreds of fucking things in this movie. It's wild.
Well, I mean, the big thing is all the Pixar movies are actually in the same universe, right?
Yes, that's the theory. That's the Pixar theory.
And there was, Onward came out earlier in the year, and there was an Easter egg to Soul in Onward.
Oh, there was. I saw that. I like that movie.
Oh, you knew about that one. There was a vinyl record in his collection that
from
was
Dorothea Williams.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
In the movie, yes, in Onward, I saw that too. There's so I love all this, and I love when the MCU.
This guy loves fucking Easter eggs.
These. I mean, because the thought and the care,
right? The intricate,
it's so great
collaboration that has to go into that type of stuff, and then. I mean, I'm with you, Imran. Like, I don't catch as many of them as I want to. I have to watch all the YouTube videos, to really see them. But when you see one, like, on your own, it's always, like, really fucking amazing. You, like, rewind it and pause it. Like, oh, my God, did I just see that? So it is a really cool thing that they incorporate for the fans,
Well, it's another great thing of the release. Like you were saying, it does suck not to see this on a big screen because it's gorgeous. But first of all, I love just being at home and being able to watch it. But you could go back and scrub through the fucking thing screen frame by frame.
Oh, shit.
Take all the time you want. It ain't going anywhere. It's fucking fantastic. Never had that shit before. All right, let's finish up rating and ranking the movie if you want. Against the 23, you can just say what tier. It's a lot of movies. I do have a link in here of all the Pixar movies. And it's funny that they did Coco recently, which is another movie about afterlife. I haven't seen that one, but the fucking art.
It's good.
The direction and the art direction there looks dope. So it's interesting how they do a lot of these movies about death and after death and before death. Gerald, why don't you start us off? If you had to rate this out of 10, what would you give it? And you kind of said it earlier. Where would you put this in the Pixar realm?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of it. I love it. I actually have on my Letterboxd a ranking of all the Pixar films, and when this movie came out, I did update it.
What's your Letterboxd?
2 Peas on a Pod.
There you go, listener. Check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, thanks, man. But as it stands right now, it is my 9th favorite Pixar film.
Okay, 9 out of 23 is not bad. That's like middle top.
Yeah, it's in my top 10, man, and it's an 8 out of 10 for me on the movie. I mean, tremendous. I mean, the music. I mean, we already mentioned Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and then also the jazz music on top of that was just phenomenal. The voice acting is great. I absolutely love Tina Fey.
They were also good.
Hearing her voice, her or Amy Poehler, I just crack up no matter what they're talking about. So I love that. I mean, such a existential kind of like soul searching, no pun intended, movie.
Yeah.
And it's a kid's movie, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Disney Pixar film, and they do this, particularly Pete Docter does this. I mean, Inside Out is one of my favorite Pixar movies. That one's, I want to think, my 3 or 4, actually. I love just kind of like the deep rooted stuff that adults can walk away, and you walk away from it, you go, wow, what the fuck is the meaning of life, guys? But then your little 7-year-old is just cracking up and loving it and, doing whatever right after it. So I think it's great how it appeals to so many different people and ages, and they really have something to say. And I think Soul told a really beautiful story. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me, man. I loved it.
Right on. Anthony.
I have questions for Gerald after this and how this relates to Oscars and all that. So we'll get to that in a second. I haven't watched enough Pixar films to rate it amongst Pixar films.
Sure.
But I kind of gave away my rating on Letterboxd. I believe I'm on there as one and only TK. I forget what the fuck my name is, actually. No, the Jock Anthony. Never mind. I don't know what my name is on there.
I was going to say, if you tell me, I'll look you up.
I think it's the Jock Anthony. Or it might be one and only TK. We'll figure this out in a second.
It's the Jock Anthony.
Is it the Jock Anthony?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So I would rate this a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, shit.
Oh, damn, nice, dude.
I almost think this is almost a perfect movie, other than the fact that it was an hour and a half. I wish it was just a little. I think they could have made it a little longer and put in some more stuff to think about and some more like awesome scenes. But I mean, I had a great time with this movie. It really fucking, in comparison to Wonder Woman, which came out the same day, this was not the movie to watch first. I'll just say that, because it's at a high fucking bar. And I'm very curious. I mean, I'm Mr. Oscar, but now I got a guy that actually knows what he's talking about, so I can't really say that. But I feel like this is going to be in the conversation for sure. So we'll see what Gerald says later.
I mean, even at an hour and a half, efficient storytelling, they put so much shit in an hour and a half. It's unbelievable. Their pacing is always great. Rug Boy.
I feel like it was like a really ambitious movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it was on another level in many, many ways. So I did think it was kind of a feat that they pulled this off. I think that, it's very enjoyable. I wanted to watch it again immediately after I watched it a second time. But then usually what happens when I watch something a second time, I start analyzing the shit out of it. And that's really the test to me of a movie, if it holds up after the second viewing. And it did. I mean, I brought up some of the stuff that I was like, whatever. Mainly the body switch and some of the details with 22 having this long life. But other than those things, I really think that everybody should see this movie. It's great. So I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Okay.
Nice.
My score. You want to forget the ranking, Rux. They're all good.
Ranking?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the top. I would say in the top 5 for me.
Okay.
Because I really like the message, and I think it's a pretty strong message, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, Pixar are a lot like the MCU. Even their worst movies are, not complete. But like the Cars sequels, do we really need those? I don't know.
No. Yeah, they did too many of those.
That's way too many. Yeah. I'm going to give it an 8.75. And it's only because what you said earlier rang true for me, Gerald. I legit teared up more at Up and Inside Out than this a little bit. This got me close. But there was a certain magic of those two. I don't know. Wait,
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
The irony is, Pete Docter, I watched that same thing you watched. Pete Docter came up with a story because he made Inside Out, which he thought was like the pinnacle of his career. And then he was like, well, fuck, now what? And that's where this whole story comes out, is he went through the same kind of fucking thing.
If you guys got emotional in Soul, and I know Anthony said he hadn't seen a ton of Pixar movies, Anthony, the next one you watch, it's got to be Inside Out. Man. Yeah. Either Inside Out or WALL-E, I would say.
WALL-E's a good one.
But
most of them are good.
If you think this was emotional, Imran, the scene with Bing Bong and Inside Out, dude, forget about it. I'm almost crying right now talking to you about it.
Well, Gerald, for some context, so a part of the reason why I stopped watching Pixar movies is so back whenever Up came out in 2010 or 11, whatever that date was, 2009.
Yeah,
my girlfriend made me come watch it with her, and I was in the movie theater, and then within the first 10 minutes when they're recapping his life, the old guy's life with his wife, I was like, I don't want to cry in front of my girlfriend, and I don't ever want to feel emotions like this ever again. So I'm just not going to watch these movies anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I went on a long hiatus from Pixar films because Up was so emotional and good.
Listen, just watch it.
It really is, man.
Watch it in private and cry. You will.
I haven't seen Up in years.
You will enjoy. I think I put this it's in the top 10-ish of these movies. All right.
Wait. I got to ask him.
Yes. Questions. Oscar
Gerald,
questions.
Put on. Take off your best movies of the year hat. Put on your if I'm predicting what the Oscars will do hat, and tell me if this will be nominated for Best Picture or not.
It's definitely going to be nominated for animated feature and will probably win it.
Oh yeah.
If there is going to be an animated film nominated this year, it will be Soul. I think. I just don't know. I don't know. They can do up to 10 nominees.
They're still doing
depends
10,
on. Yeah, it depends on how many they decide to go with this year. The other animated film that's really going to give Soul a run for its money, but doesn't have enough fanfare with it, is a film called Wolf Walkers.
Oh,
which is a hand drawn animation film that you can watch on Apple TV.
Oh, it's on Apple TV. I saw that. Have you seen that? Is it good?
It's amazing. Really good.
I gotta watch
just
that.
a tremendous. We're talking about the animation of Soul, which of course, please, it's amazing. Yeah. But the hand drawn animation and the things they're able to do with the 2D and
old school
Wolf Walkers is just I'm just in awe of it.
Oh, I really am.
When you watch it, you're just in awe of it. And then on top of that, it's just an amazing story too.
I gotta watch this. Yeah.
But that's going to be the kind of one that's going to give Soul a little bit of trouble, I think. But I think the fanfare around Soul and being the first kind of lead black character in that kind of Disney story is really going to also help it from a politicized point of view. But it's a great movie. We all just gave it super high marks, and pretty much everybody that's seeing it is doing the same thing. So I think it's easily the best animated film. And then we'll have to see, man. If you're putting me on the spot, I will say that it will make it in as long as there are at least 8 nominees for Best Picture this year.
And then of the movies you've seen this year, what else do you think will make it?
For Best Picture?
Mm-hmm.
I have my personal bias.
Sure. I'm trying to keep this so that you don't spoil your rankings for your own show. This is the view as if you were in how they think.
All right. Well, I'll say if we get
Academy
8,
thinks.
if we get 8, like I said, then you can count on probably Soul being in there. I think you'll also see The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Which is a film by Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, that was great.
We reviewed that on here.
Which he's been nominated a million times for writing, but he's also directing here for the first time. So I think they're going to have to shout that out. And then we already mentioned Chloe Zhao's Nomadland. Not only is that one going to get nominated, but if that doesn't just blow everything out of the water, I'll be shocked. It's just such an amazing film. It wasn't my favorite personally, but knowing what the Academy kind of like craves, Nomadland is their film. And then another movie that is going to get a ton of nominations is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah,
Chadwick Boseman's last film.
It was Chadwick Boseman's last film, and ironically, I know he passed, but regardless, it's the best performance of his career, and it happened to be his last one. Just a tremendous performance. And then Viola Davis, who is literally can do no wrong.
Yeah,
I mean, she could do any role, and it would probably get nominated for. She's the next Meryl Streep.
Wow.
I mean, she'll be nominated 50 times before she dies, probably.
And then never win?
Well, I hope not. Well, she's already won. So.
Yeah.
I know.
Again, snubbed again.
So those are just a few that I think are going to get a lot of love. And then I have a few that I hope, like Promising Young Woman, which I already mentioned. And then there's this movie that just came out about a month ago with Riz Ahmed called Sound of Metal.
Dude, I watched that. That is an amazing movie. It's very good.
Absolutely. His performance,
holy shit,
man,
he's great. And the sound mixing in that movie should win an Oscar.
What is that on?
It's on
Amazon.
Yes. Watch
that. I got to get back on the Oscar movie grind because there's a lot of that I haven't seen.
Gerald, what about Mank?
Oh, man. Do you really do this?
Maybe I should mention Mank.
Mank is also going to get a lot of love. If I was an Academy voter, I would not be voting for Mank.
Okay.
But it's going to get a ton of love. It's David Fincher. It was a project of his father's that he took over as an homage to his dad. It was a project his dad wanted to do.
I saw it. It's pretty good.
So David Fincher took that on to do that. I mean, it's a great story, about the kind of how Citizen Kane got made, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a great story. It just, in the filmmaking and the technical aspects are amazing. Gary Oldman's amazing. Amanda Seyfried will get nominated for Best Supporting, no question. And she's great in it. But, I mean, I just found it to be the pacing to be super boring, really slow. Even though I'm watching, sometimes how you watch things and you're like watching it going, this is fucking amazing, but I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Almost every movie.
That is rugs in every movie.
I had that same feeling watching Little Women last year.
So it'll get a lot of love though. You're right, Imran. Mank will get a lot of love. It's just not my favorite movie.
All right, then I have to follow up since he asked about specific movies. 2 movies.
Oh shit.
The Five Bloods and One Night in Miami.
One Night in Miami will get a shit ton of nominations, and Regina King probably get nominated for Best Director
she directed
as well.
that one. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
I can't remember the Leslie Odom Jr., who plays Sam Cooke in the movie, will probably get nominated.
Okay.
And then what was the other one you asked about?
The Five Bloods.
Spike Lee. Yeah. I think Spike Lee will get nominated for Best Director, and frankly, I hope he wins.
Yes.
I mean,
no Delroy Lindo.
Oh, Delroy Lindo, absolutely, yes. I think those two are shoe-ins. The movie was a little bit scatterbrained. It was kind of all over the place. That's kind of a staple with Spike Lee's movies, though. It's kind of a manic type of filmmaking, which works for some people and doesn't work for others. But he's such a sure-handed director, man. I mean, he's a legend, dude.
Yeah, he deserves a fucking Oscar win for directing. Come on.
I felt like it was a little uneven in spots, but yeah.
It was, absolutely. But, at the same time, that's so weird, man, because his movies are like that. So you have to stop for a second and go, well, is he doing this on purpose? Or
why does it look like a soap opera all of a sudden?
Well, but do the right thing is like that, too. It cuts to like a music video in the middle of her dancing.
Right, or like a historical like news footage or whatever.
Like he does
does
babies.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Dead babies.
I fucking hated that.
Rugboy absolutely hated that.
Yeah, this is a landmark year, too, really, because of COVID. But, I mean, so many of these movies were streaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Netflix bought a bunch. Amazon bought a bunch. Yeah. I mean, there was this movie on Hulu called Palm Springs that I think is great.
That's a fantastic movie. I love that. I love Palm Springs.
Personally, I feel like that should be in the running for a lot of stuff, too.
Yeah.
Have you been able, since you were able to see him, like, go to a movie festival, not a music festival, I've heard a lot of buzz around Minari. Have you been able to check that out?
I just got a screener for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so funny that you mentioned that. I just got a screener for that from Plan B, the film, one of the film companies.
Oh, Plan B. Is that they do movies too?
Yeah,
Not just a pill
you get a
anymore.
free pill with every screener. Yeah, it's great. I'm going to be watching that actually tomorrow night, Anthony. So I haven't seen that one yet, but I just got it, and I'm very excited to watch it. I've heard great things.
What is that about?
It's about a Korean family that moves to America, in Middle America, like in Kansas or something like that.
Yeah, like Bumblefuck.
Yeah.
Like, to
It's
be
the
on
guy
a
from The
farm.
Walking Dead is in there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Steven
that's
Yeun.
right.
Oh,
Yeah, and they have to adjust to American life, and it's a very, I feel like it's a very timely kind of story too.
Something gets set on fire.
There's a part in there, Imran, where I think you would connect to this. The little boy's talking to his grandma.
Yeah,
and he says something along the lines of like, "You're not nice like the other kids' grandma. You swear, and you don't make me sandwiches.
You call me
You give
fat.
me weird food."
I come in.
I was like, "Oh, I can totally relate to that."
Yes. I come in. You call me fat. First thing. What is this? No hi, hello. Oh, you
heard it's a beautiful movie that might get a lot.
I
of
heard
buzz,
a lot of buzz on Minari. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one too.
Very good.
How do you get? Man, you get these screeners. You're in there. You're in.
Yeah,
Like,
you're gonna have to tell me how you do this.
you're like way cooler than us.
Yes, absolutely.
I reach out, and I have a lot of friends in kind of like the film community, and then I'm a member of the Film Independent too. I have been for a couple of years, so.
Oh wow.
I'm just too much into movies. That's why I felt bad when Enron was hitting me up about the WandaVision stuff because I just don't watch any TV anymore.
Yeah.
I need to get back on the TV too.
It's hard, right? Though, because like TV is such a much more arduous commitment than like
absolutely.
A movie,
I just don't have the time to watch movies anymore.
But see, you know what? I take the opposite approach with TV shows because with a movie, I'm in and out in 2 hours. I'm done.
Yeah. I think I like TV more because it literally raised me fucking growing up. Like I've had a intimate hours relationship.
There's a lot of stuff that we're in the golden age of TV right now.
Yes,
that's true.
My habit for watching films. I used to watch. I think I've watched everything that ever came out ever, and then ever since COVID and maybe a little bit before that, like I just don't have it in me. I can't barely even make it through a movie.
Wow. It's the exact opposite. I think I tried to watch everything that ever came out once COVID hit.
Yeah.
The thing is, like comic books, when long form episodic storytelling is done well, it's the fucking best thing you're ever gonna experience. You put in time, and when it hits, and when they do it right.
Well, the good thing is we don't have to choose, right?
No, yeah.
Both forms of storytelling are
you can
pretty
enjoy
strong.
both.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're much more accessible than
everything is accessible now.
I gotta get back on. I feel like I'm slacking big time with my movie stuff.
You inspired me, Gerald. I was into movies for a bit, and I kind of stopped, and now I'm like, I got to watch these fucking movies that you just talked about.
Yeah, it's it's funny that we're reviewing Soul tonight because they talk about your spark a lot in Soul, and I feel like movies for me is my spark, man. Like I'm not doing it, but as a fan and of somebody that really appreciates it, it just really gives me life for that 2 hours while I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And you can see different filmmakers and different actors and. Whatever craft, like Imran was mentioning sound mixing and Sound of Metal, for example. But whatever piece really speaks to you, you can feel like what those people involved were doing, and it really speaks to me. And then I have such a pride too because that's trickled down in my life. Because I mentioned to you guys earlier, my daughter's 19 and she went to film school, and she's in film school right now. Yeah. And that's really as a result of us sharing movies together for her whole life. And my son's 7, and for the last year or so, he's been doing little stop motions with his Legos on his iPad.
That's awesome.
He wants to do animation and shit like that. So, and I'm not making these guys do that. You know what I mean? It's just because I just share the love of movies with the people that are close to me.
You are giving them excellent taste.
Not to take this completely sideways, Imran, but I feel like this is a good conversation. We've been debating here on the show about the role of movie theaters going forward.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the role of movie theaters and if they need to stick around and just that whole argument especially with COVID kind of screwing things on that end?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be a little sympathetic to the movie going experience. So I feel like, the day that movie theaters or movie houses are gone, inevitably, then that is a sad, sad day, for this world, to be honest, because I feel like that is a very important piece of people like me that love movies and then the people that are in movies. Now, with that being said, I I've always been a realist, and I've always kind of been okay with adjusting with the times. As long as I get to see the movie, is going to be better than not being able to see the movie. So I would never be the kind of person that would be like, if I can't see it in a theater, I'm not going to see it. Like, I would never say that. I would prefer to see it in the theater because that's the experience that was intended when these filmmakers, you hear, I know you guys have covered, Christopher Nolan on the show, and, Tenet came out this year, and such a bummer that people didn't get to see that on the big screen because that's obviously, we're talking to, a Christopher Nolan epic here. So could you imagine not seeing Dark Knight on the big screen?
Yeah.
It's just crazy that could go away. So it's really sad, and I hope that doesn't happen, Anthony. But if the movies continue to be made and continue to be celebrated, and I'm able to see them, however that plays out, then that'll be good enough for me, because I understand that, it's just like when technology advances, we have to adjust to what the new thing is. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm going to skip news from the nation. We're just going to wrap up like this. Gerald, thank you so much for hanging out, man. And I'm sorry this took so long, but I knew you was gonna click right away. Talking nerd, and your fucking voice is just lovely to listen to.
Thanks, man.
I fucking love it. I love that Anthony's no longer the fucking deepest voice. That's why that is the bonus.
There you go.
Tell the listener where they can find your stuff and what you got coming up this year.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, guys, this was awesome. Thank you so much to all three of you, and thanks for having me. It really means a lot, and it was a blast to talk to you guys. Sorry I droned on about cinema or whatever, but thank you so much for having me.
Passion.
The easiest thing to do, Imran, as you know, is probably just follow me on social media. So on Twitter, it's going to be 2 P's on a pod, and that's TWO spelled out. On Facebook, will be 2 P's on a podcast. And like I said at the top of the show, every week it's just me and a guest host, and we talk about our top 5 favorite things in whatever the category is. It's often centered around movies, as you guys will not be surprised by. But we also dive into music, TV, and sometimes just random stuff in pop culture, and we just give our 5 favorite things in that category. Now, this is airing in January, right? This episode?
This will be, coming out on Sunday.
We're going to wait till
it's March 2021.
January of 2022.
That's smart. That's smart.
We're capitalizing on the soul buzz for a year.
But the reason I'm asking is because I'm going to be announcing very, very shortly on all those social medias I just mentioned for our Golden Peas, the Golden Pea Movie Awards for this year, which is voted on by everybody on Twitter, is voted on by you guys. So I hope you will tune in over there and get the nominees and then cast your ballot. Voting will be going on from February 1st until March 1st, and then we will be announcing the winners on March 15th. So look for that very shortly. At the end of January, the nominees will be announced.
Oh, I'm going to vote. That's exciting.
Hell yeah, dude.
Did I see this right? Are you branching out into sandwiches?
We did a top 5 sandwiches.
Oh, shit.
That's fantastic.
Wait.
Yes.
Are you talking about franchises?
No. So we do it. So we do a top 5 show. So it's like a top 5 favorite, whatever, right? So we have patrons, and I let them pick a topic. So one of my patrons wanted to come on and wanted to do his top 5 favorite sandwiches.
Oh, that's great.
So next week, actually, which will be, I think, the 13th, it'll be live.
I can't wait.
We'll be doing our top 5 sandwiches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. What are the parameters on the sandwich?
Well, what's your favorite sandwich, Anthony? What would be your number 1 favorite sandwich, you think?
Man,
I'll tell you if it got mentioned.
I like an Italian, that's for sure.
I like an Italian sub.
Yeah, but do you consider that a sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, yeah. Yeah.
You talking about Chick-fil-A?
No, I'm talking about like an Italian, like a legit Italian sub,
like salami and the whole thing.
Exactly.
The type of sandwich.
Yeah, I want to say a meatball sub got mentioned on there.
I say grilled cheese with bacon for the win.
There you go. Grilled cheese is mentioned.
That's a
BLT.
Classic.
Yeah. BLT got mentioned. You're giving away the whole fucking
sorry.
episode. This is
We'll
ridiculous.
stop.
You know what? I'll play my episode. Hold on.
Are burgers considered a sandwich?
Yes, but not hot dogs. You can't pick a hot dog.
Yeah, that I've heard that. But a hot dog is between 2 pieces of bread, or I guess 1.
It's not a sandwich.
But it's not a sandwich.
If it's shaped like a dick, it's not a sandwich.
Yeah, have you not seen that Denmark kids show? Come on.
Yes, if it's on the Denmark Kids show, it's not a sandwich.
But to establish, are burgers sandwiches, Gerald?
You know what? That comes up, and that's a point of...
Never mind.
I won't necessarily say contention, but as a point of conversation on that episode. And it's funny that Rugboy was mentioning hot dogs because the reason this whole episode got started is because I would often dig at this guy, his buddy of mine, a patron of the show. I would often dig at him that my favorite sandwich was a hot dog.
Oh, and you get pissed?
And it would just infuriate him because he's like, a hot dog. And I didn't really think that. I just did it to kind of piss him off, you know?
It's a big debate.
And so then he's like, well, we got to do our favorite sandwiches. So we have a lot of discussion around hot dogs and hamburgers on that
I feel
episode.
like that's the thing. Is like no one ever really considered a hot dog a sandwich until they raised that point into like egg someone on.
It is a heated debate in the sandwich community.
I mean, look, I'll allow it.
Yeah? Yeah, I would not allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. It's in bread.
I think a burger is a type of sandwich. That's my reasoning. So, yeah.
Well, tune in next week, guys.
Yes.
To find out.
Listen, links in the show notes, listener. Bruggs, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me in the alley under behind the Walmart.
Yes.
And you can find
to the
me
pawn
on
shop.
Twitter at Really Rug Boy.
And Really Rug Boy on Twitter. Listener, check the show notes for this episode, jockandnerd.com/363. You will get links to all the sandwich-related materials you need. Everything we talked about, how to support the show, how to check out Gerald's stuff. And most importantly, listener, share the show. Spread the geekery. Tell a friend. Tell your pet. Tell your pet's friend. I don't know. Tell everyone. Jock and Nerd. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's a nerd.
We'll peep you next time.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
It's Anthony the show.
I fucking loved it.
The whole show.
I fucking loved it.
Be more funny.
Jock and Nerd.
My balls is hot.